Hi, welcome everyone, and happy Wednesday. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, but so we're gonna give it a minute and we'll be right back.
Okay, hey everybody, how's it going? Sorry about that. We can get going now. Melissa, you can go ahead.
All right, sounds good. Well, welcome everyone. I'm Melissa, Construction Success Manager here at Fieldwire. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today to our live webinar for Fieldwire for MEP Subcontractors Introductory session. So to kick things off, just some housekeeping announcements. A reminder that this webinar will be recorded. A copy of the recording along with the slide deck will be emailed to you at the end of the session. To keep things on track, attendance will be muted throughout the session. You may input your comments in the chat and questions in the Q&A panes. We will try our best to get to all your questions during the session and at the end of the presentation during the Q&A. For any questions that we don't address during the session, we will have one of our experts reach out to you directly. We will also be sending a survey after this webinar where you can provide your feedback in today's sessions and let us know how we did and how we can improve in future webinars. With that, I'd like to introduce you to your speaker and construction expert, Dylan Reed, Construction Success Manager here at Fieldwire. Dylan, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Melissa. I apologize, everybody. We're having some difficulties with GoToWebinar here and me being able to share my screen right now. Trying to get them sorted out, but we unfortunately may need to reschedule this because I can't seem to figure out the issues going on here. Give me one moment here to see if we can get this going. Perfect. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. We'll get going now. Cool. All right. Thank you for the introduction, Melissa. So quick background on myself. First of all, I just want to apologize for the delay on that, everybody. There's a little bit of an issue there, but I got it all sorted out. But yeah, background on myself. I used to work as an assistant PM and a PE for a plumbing and mechanical subcontractor here in the Bay Area for a couple years. Worked on a variety of projects from medical office buildings to some smaller TI build-outs, and had a pretty wide variety of experience with that. And then coming here at Fieldwire, I've kind of helped, my focus is to kind of help different companies take advantage of Fieldwire, which is in turn kind of help them save time and money and kind of utilize some more creative workflows to kind of smooth out the construction process. And then just a quick background on Fieldwire and kind of our main goals and what we're trying to achieve here. We're kind of focusing on solving three main problems. The first one is being able to access information that you need to build and complete your jobs. This includes documents from plans to submittals, but just making sure that everybody has what they need to complete the project or the work on the project at any point on the job. The second part is just ensuring your team in the office and your team in the field both know what they need to do to complete their work. And Fieldwire tasks were actually built on that with the idea of kind of removing unnecessary text threads, email threads, phone calls, all kind of circulating about the same issue, and having one streamlined place for people to communicate with each other. And then the last thing is just having live reports and updates from the point of install, and ensuring that your stakeholders from like externally to internally all know what they need to do, and have that information that they can easily access on or offline. So kind of diving into the meat of the presentation here today, I'm gonna hop over into Fieldwire now. So couple things. I just wanted to kind of touch on a few different ways that MEP subcontractors kind of leverage Fieldwire. And this is again going to be more of an introductory session to kind of show you guys and give you guys some ideas on the different ways or tools that can be leveraged. And then in a couple weeks here, we'll actually have a customer that we'll be diving into and kind of some of the more advanced workflows that they've set up. And that'll be a longer 45-minute session. We'll have a full like 10-minute Q&A portion of it, where you guys can ask some more in-depth questions on how they got to that point and kind of the different workflows that they have going on there. But yeah, so for today, I kind of wanted to focus on plans, tasks, and forms. Those will be the kind of main modules that we'll look at today, and then we'll touch on files a little bit as well. But starting with plans, we'll just go ahead and go into a plan sheet here. Some of the key things that I've seen work really well for MEP subcontractors is using our plans to kind of document their changes in the field that they can then use as like as-builts towards the end of the project, whether that's actually using the drawings that they kind of doc or edit within Fieldwire for those as-builts, or then taking that and then giving it back to their like detailer to make those changes that you submit more formally. So to do that, just to like make changes to, let's say like a duct run or a wire pull or a pipe run, I'd recommend just using these lines here. So you can either just use a straight line or you can use multiple lines. If you're going to be using like if it's going to be changing in direction, I would definitely recommend using that multi-line tool. And then you can just click and kind of click where you want that edited pipe run or duct run where you want to show that to go. So super useful. You can kind of collect that and input that data into like your plans as you go, instead of having to worry about, and then you just double click at the end, sorry. As you go, instead of having to like come back at the end of a project to figure out, okay, what changed? Let me collect all of my red line drawings, compile them, either scan them in or send them back. You have it all saved as you go. It's super easy to make those changes and document them as you go. And then again, you can either export that, so you can go to actions and then export here as a PDF and send this out to the GC, or you can export the full plan set, or you can also just use this to send it back to your detailing team. They can make those official changes on the shop drawings, and then you can use those to kind of send it back to the GC. But just a great way of tracking things as you go instead of trying to figure out what changed at the end of the project. Another really useful tool that I've seen MEP subs use is this hyperlink tool. And so we have a number of different ways that you can hyperlink things. But one thing that I find really helpful is hyperlinking files. So that can be used for like RFI responses, change orders, anything that's going to like kind of change what's going to be installed in the field. This helps make sure like you can pin it to a specific location and make sure that anybody in the field knows that there was a change there. So in this case, if I want to search like an RFI response here, I can choose that. And then whenever someone's looking at this in the field, they can pull this up and know that, okay, cool, there was an RFI here. Let me see what that response was. And then they can proceed with their work accordingly. So just make sure that there's no like loss of communication between the field and the office. And what I would recommend doing is just have, as a PM, I would probably, if you get an RFI response back, make sure you pin it in that specific location. And that way the field guys never have to worry about whether they're looking at the most up-to-date drawings or if they're missing anything. So those would be the two main tools I would say that are kind of unique to MEP subs that are really very useful for making sure that you're tracking any changes to your work and that everybody has the information that they need. The next module that I want to touch on is just our forms module. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And I'm actually going to hop into this project for that. And so forms can kind of be used or taken advantage of in a couple of different ways. We do have some set templates that can be used, like this timesheet, this time and material tag, RFI, daily report. Those are all standard Fieldwire templates that can be taken advantage of. So that can be great for if you just want to use something that's already been set up. You can also take those templates and make your own changes to them. So if you want to add something or you want to get rid of something, you can do that as well. Super useful for just, getting started pretty quickly. You can also take forms that you've built out elsewhere or that you have as like physical hard copies and then build them within Fieldwire. Or you can take a whole new process or a process that you're already doing that's not really in a form and then build that out in forms as well. I've seen that happen too. But yeah, just kind of wanted to give you guys some ideas on like different ways that you can take advantage of forms and show you kind of some actual forms that have been built by either other subs or by our team here at Fieldwire for other subs. So the first one we'll take a look at is this JHA template. So I'll just go ahead and click in here. So this is a pretty common one that, a lot of different MEP subs will probably, most people have to, or most subs have to do JHAs as it is. So just getting this into Fieldwire makes it a little bit easier for the field team to fill out and also track internally and make sure that everything's being completed. But I'm just going to kind of walk you through what this looks like in kind of the different sections here. So the top is just basically standard information that you'll include in any form. Below that, we have our general info. And so this section is actually, this is called a list. And these are going to be just like standard data points that you would put in there that you're requiring from somebody that's filling this out. These are just short text entries. And then this is a drop down. So this is like a custom list that was created. And you can either add to this list or you can create your own list or you can, make it a different entry type. But this is basically, this whole list is kind of requiring specific information for you to put in. And then below that, we have another list. This is just different entry types. We have checkboxes. And when you're checking off something, you just click it to check it, double click it to say it's say no, and then triple click to say it's not applicable. And then the last one there is just a checkbox with some notes in there. So that these are both list types. That's the kind of data entry type within a form. And then below that, we have a table. So basically, this allows you to enter in kind of less specific data, but on a row by row entry where you can add, you can add as many entries as you would like in there. And you just continue to add new rows as you go. And then you just fill out these little text boxes in here. And these also have this similar like ability. You can do like a checkbox instead. You can do a date. It has the same types of data entry that you can do for lists. It's just in a different format here. And then these continue to be lists going down here. And then the last ones we have down here are signature fields. So these are good for collecting signatures for a form. So I can either sign as myself or I can sign as somebody else. So if you want to have like an inspector sign or somebody from the a general contractor that's not on Fieldwire, you can sign as them as well. So yeah, just kind of wanted to show you, give you an idea of the different forms that can be kind of utilized within Fieldwire. I think this JHA template's great. It's definitely being used by quite a few of our different customers. And then if I wanted to go ahead and make any changes to that, so let's say I have that template or like this daily report template and I want to go ahead and make some changes to that, I would go ahead and just hit manage template and then just choose whichever template I want to make any changes to. Okay, click on this daily report one. And then this will bring me into like the form builder view. And I would just have to hit unpublish to make any changes that I want to that. And then, although it looks a little bit complicated if you haven't made any forms or changed any forms before, once you get the hang of it, it does get a lot more simple and more straightforward. So I'll just kind of walk you through a couple key things within here. So if I wanted to add like a new line, so in this first one, this is a list view, this general info. If I wanted to add like a new line, I just hit new line, and then it gives me a couple of different options. So I can select the different data entry type that I want to go through and choose. And so these are some of the ones that I was showing you there before, this short text, long text. But I would just choose whichever one I want to add in there and then just add it. I could also choose one of these lists, those drop down ones that I showed you, or create your own list. And so that's if you just want to add a new line. If I want to do a new section, I would just go ahead and click new section. And then this gives me the different types of data that I can add. So list and table, those are going to be like the more, whenever you're adding like multiple things of data, that's probably what you're going to choose. And then we also have, and those are the ones I kind of just went over. And then we also have the ability to add like attachments. So you can add photos or files or signatures, which I just showed you as well. So those are kind of the different types of entries or sections that you can add into forms. And then if you want to change the order, you can just use these arrows to kind of move the order of them, with whether it's like lines within a section or if you want to add or change the order of the sections. And then the last thing that's super useful here is just previewing. So when I'm adding anything or deleting anything, I can just go through and make sure like, okay, cool, this is looking the way that I want it to, or I want to go back ahead and make some different changes because that doesn't look the way that I was hoping it would. So just kind of a brief overview on how to take advantage of forms and make changes. Another great one, so this change order request form, this isn't a standard Fieldwire template, but this is one that is used by a couple different MEP subs. Similar layout to that, to the JHA template, but we have a couple different data entry types down here. So you can add your plans in here. We have different files that you can add. So you can add your attachments, like your photos, your crop plans, add any cut sheets, pricing, basically all the data that you would include in a change order normally. These will just be links. So this will be like a clean form that you send out to the GC with all the like the overall information, and then you have links to like the backup information, like your pricing and all of the cut sheets and everything. So yeah, again, just wanted to show you guys some different ways that you can take advantage of this. If you ever have any questions about building forms or anything in general, really, you can just hit this question mark, and that's gonna pull up our help window here. And you have a couple options here. So you can either search for articles, which I highly recommend. We have a lot of great articles here. So if I wanted to search forms, it'll queue up quite a few different articles here, and I can kind of look into each one. And we have a lot of good articles that will kind of walk you step by step through a lot of these things. You can do this for any one of the different modules within Fieldwire. And then we also have the option to contact us. So you can start a ticket with our support team. And this will just connect you with one of our product experts in-house to kind of walk you through any questions you might have. And then also, if you're part of an enterprise plan, which will tell you up on the top right corner here, you can also reach out to your dedicated construction success manager. So that'll be somebody like myself that can kind of help you walk you through any questions you have or help you kind of optimize your workflows. We're just basically there to help you. So you can find that out by just looking at the top right-hand corner. And then if you're unsure, if you are part of an enterprise plan and you're unsure who your CSM is, you can just reach out to your account owner and they should be able to let you know. Cool. So that's kind of it that I wanted to talk about for forms. The last thing I want to talk about is tasks. So tasks are pretty versatile. I would say they're our most versatile tool within Fieldwire, and they can be customized to set up to track pretty much anything. I would say the two ways that they can be broken out is either reactive work or proactive work. Proactive including anything from tracking prefab, tracking device installs, tracking like planning out your work for an entire project. And then the reactive side is more of those like punch list items and things that like slip through the cracks. And I definitely recommend doing both of them. Like in this case, we have most of these like statuses are kind of aimed at being more proactive, like open and progress constraints. Those are all proactive statuses. And then this QA/QC and punch, that's actually kind of a mixture. Like the QA/QC ones are going to be more of that proactive side, but the punch ones are going to be the more reactive ones and things that slip through. But definitely recommend doing a bit of both on that. But I would say one thing to keep in mind with tasks is the benefit of them is it kind of helps you communicate with the field and the office and have like a streamlined way of documenting things and communicating and make sure that nothing slips through the cracks. One thing that I always found on the MEP side of working for a mechanical and plumbing company is that I was working on like a lot of different projects, and it was hard to manage all of those different projects and know what's going on at the point of install, that you can like effectively either communicate with your higher ups or communicate with the GC. And by using Fieldwire and using the tasks, it allows you to kind of communicate more effectively with people in the field. So then you can take that information and relay that either to the owner, to the GC, to your executives, whoever needs to know what's going on. It kind of allows you to do that. And then a couple things I just want to show you guys is when you're setting up your tasks, one thing I recommend is MEP subs. If you're gonna actually like plan, be proactive about your work, is you can use our calendar and our Gantt chart views to kind of actually plan out your work. You can do this to like plan and see what's gonna be coming up, and also kind of use it for man loading. So if I go back a couple months here, I can see on a monthly, weekly, or daily basis what activities need to be completed. So on a week by week basis, I can just see, okay, all of these activities are going to need to be completed this week. Then I can do the same thing for each day. And then in the Gantt chart view, I can do a similar thing, but I can also view manpower and kind of see concurrent activities. So similar view, but I can see, so I have all these concurrent activities on this entire week. And then also, if you notice here, I have these 0.4 man hours or guys for each activity, or each one of these activities here. So if I hover over this, I can see, okay, cool, I require one guy for each day. And obviously that doesn't include all these other ones don't have man hours associated with them. But if you input those man hours, so if I click on here and I input those start and end dates and those man hours, that allows me to kind of plan out my work pretty effectively and then know how many guys I have to load on for the day. Super useful for like supers or foremen trying to plan out where guys need to be on a job site. Same thing with PMs, making sure that we're hitting those deadlines. And you can just plan out all that work and make sure you can use this as like your 3-week look ahead and make sure that you're hitting those milestones. The last thing I want to touch on is just reporting. So once you've like communicated everything between your internal teams, like, so this is going back and forth between let's say a foreman and a PM, and we have some good documentation there, but we also want to get some of this information out to the general contractor. Like, let's say we have some constraints that we want to let them know about. We can create a constraint report. We can do multiple types of different reports. You can use this as like your backup when you're doing pay apps. Super useful for that. But I'll just give you a quick example since we're bumping up on time on what it looks like for, like in this case, a constraint report that you want to send out to your GC. So this basically documents everything, and like this is our table of contents, and it kind of just breaks out everything by trade and lets them know what trades are holding you up, and gives them all the like relevant information and details about that, so you can kind of proceed with your work and everything. Yep, cool. Well, that is it. I will hand this back over to Melissa and we can answer some of your guys' questions.
Great, thank you, Dylan. So everyone, just a reminder, put your questions on the questions pane. Okay, so we have a few questions circling already. First one, does Fieldwire include unlimited data storage?
Yes, it does. There's no limit on sheets or projects. When you pay for a license, you have unlimited data storage.
Great. Now we have a question about the form. Was the COR form custom form? They don't see it in their form step.
Yeah, so that one, you can reach out to us and we should be able to share that with you. But that one is not a standard form template. That was one that was created with another customer that we've been now using with different, it's something that we have access to at our account level. But it isn't one of our standard ones. But if you are curious about that, you should be able to reach out to us and we'll be following up with emails to you guys. So one of our CSMs should be able to help you out with that.
Okay, next question. Does Fieldwire have a sketch tool?
Yeah, so let's see. If I would say if you go back into, you can sketch within photos, and I'm not sure, I mean, I may need a little bit more context on that question, but we have our full markup tools within like our plans. So you can sketch on that. Like these lines are like free form if you wanted to sketch something. And you can also mark up photos. So if I wanted to, oh, let's see. Well, it should allow you to make some markups. Let's see where. But basically, there's no freeform sketch tool. It's basically within either photos or plans. You should be able to mark things up on there.
All right, so last question. Can we use the calendar for multiple jobs so we can see all the jobs in the same calendar?
Not right now. We're actually working on our cross-project kind of analytics and viewing, and it's going to start out with just being able to like generate reports across projects, but we are working on having a tool that will allow you to, hopefully, I'm not sure about calendar, but in the future you'll be able to kind of view analytics across projects, or yeah.
Great. So those are all the questions that we were able to get through today. Any questions that we didn't get on today's presentation, we will be reaching out via email to answer those. You'll also be receiving a copy of this recording and slide deck. All right. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thanks all.